Beautiful hills careen gently into the vast valleys that engulf Morrison, Colorado. Gargantuan mountains scrape the dark skies. An infinite gray haunts the clouds. Beyond a river and just past town in a spot nobody thought to look, they found something that began to confirm their theories. Due to a number of mishaps at Redacted, the initial overseeing corporation in control of those very assets was liquidated into a new organization, O.M.I.C, one whose control over the Lafayette incident had slipped. A number of cases were reported where strange metallic objects were seen jutting from the ground. Strange rusted structures with a hatch on the front and a valve at the top. Standing about 15 feet high, they were vicious looking enough, as the metal was torn apart from years of natural erosion. Team 12 was sent in to investigate these structures. 10 men. They were sent into the heart of Morrison, where someone had reported one such structure not far from their home, and they added that they swear they heard a sort of humming emanating from the tower. Not the humming of machines, mind you, the humming of people. The team dispatched at noon. 16 hours later, one survivor managed to make contact with command. He was barely alive and bloody beyond hell. His trembling voice spoke of an audible echo.
"'Tis Ryan Dale I'm Ryan Dale of Containment Team 12. The
Redacted
is worse than we thought. I'm recording this at approximately 0200 hours. I think I'm nearing an exit. The whole team is dead. It was the usual job, clean up, scraping, blackout like usual. Then we heard the humming, like the homeowner told us. We popped it open and...
Just like that, he was gone. The corporation had to do something about this. There's no way they were going to just let this threat be broadcasted all over. Before they could contain this nightmare, however, yet another disturbance happened. This time, in California, one such tower had broken the ground deep into the Californian outback, this one being the second furthest from civilization. Another team was dispatched, number 4 this time, far more experienced individuals. This time, a constant video feed was required from all team members, as well as half of them remaining above ground if they find justifiable reason to enter it. It began quite well. The team were able to locate it and secure the area around it without any trouble. A small fort was made so they may hide the structure. Once this was completed, and all the noise from the tower was confirmed to be mute, the team was ordered to stay put while researchers were dispatched. The feed was shut off during this time, yet radio contact remained readily available with hourly check-ins to ensure everyone's safety. At 0700 hours, a field team was sent out. At 0800, there was no response from the check-in. Finally, at 0845, they got their answers. The front hatch was wide open, and bloodied footprints could be seen, as well as handprints of the same nature. Clawed walls, blood splatters, and the dense scent of copper. One brave member of the escort wanted to enter, claiming he would retain his video feed the whole time. While his team contested, the higher-ups gave him the okay. Even shining your flashlight on the open hatch was enough of a warning sign, as a screw that stretches to the top of the tower was planted in the center. On it, multiple chunks of unknown muscle tissue were glued to its sharp edges. When the man entered, He immediately looked up to see a ton of sharp, vicious claws on rotary-bladed devices. Towards the bottom was pitch black, with only a soggy, pinkish-red mush pooling and gently lapping. Before the man could say anything, the hatch slammed shut, with auditory clicking and locking. He was standing right on top of the screw, which began to violently spin. The feed shut off quickly afterwards, but the screaming and gurgling of the tower was seen through the researchers' feeds. It trembled and shook vehemently. Powerful thunder erupted inside of it, alongside the horrible sound of crashing goo. As quickly as it started, the machine stopped. Another gurgle was heard from it before the hatch burst open. Flooding everything in blood and torn ligaments. The syrupy mixture had a potent and powerful smell to it, as well as a strong consistency. One researcher reported having their ankle and half of the metatarsals on their foot broken from the tension the pool seemed to have. All of them reported it gripping them, like an iron vice at the feet, trying to pull them down. The syrup expanded, and the teams evacuated. The most recent case is perhaps the most interesting. The towers were aptly titled Grinders, and the corporation had one more incident happen. This time, off the coast of Belize. Despite it being quite the distance, the corporation endured the mission. A blue hole in the watery region reportedly appeared out of nowhere. And yes, there is a grinder nearby. The corporation desperately needed to look into the matter, but all teams refused to embark. In a fit of desperation, they made the D team. D stands for Redacted, and the corporation made their message quite clear as the first D team was sent out, a whopping 7 men. Their briefing was, "You are going to investigate claims of a class Redacted threat near Belize. You are not expected to survive. We have already marked you as MIA. If you return, your past records will be wiped and you will lose your previous life." This part's important. "If you feel you may die, ensure the preservations of the video evidence above your life." The team was comprised of individuals of ill fortune, you could say. None of them were wealthy, and a number were in a grandiose debt. The deal was that they embark on this single mission. Every piece of evidence they turned in was more money wiped off their debt. Reasonably speaking, they could pay all of it off in just this mission. The target was spotted at 12:10 on an unnatural island. They docked and began to set up camp nearby the grinder. It couldn't be decided whether they would investigate the blue hole first or the grinder. There was no argument when it was presented to them that the corporation wanted an immediate investigation of the blue hole. So they set up a drone and launched it into the water. A simple drone, one that works off oxygen pressure to keep itself afloat. As it dove down deeper into the water, nothing could be seen. But many things were heard. The audio isn't available to the public, and only those involved have heard it. One person commented, saying that it sounded like the gates to hell. The drone was eventually destroyed, and they had to either dive in there or try to enter through the grinder. The corporation was satisfied with the audio, so they pushed for the grinder. Upon opening the hatch, it became clear that the team would still need to dive. Donning dive suits, one was ordered to stay above ground and ensure that the feed doesn't get cut. They were taught to get in, get out, take as many photos and as much video as you can, even if that means losing something for it. The grinder was half flooded, so they swam down alongside it, being as gentle as possible, hoping to not disturb any of the machinery. Soon, the waters became a dense red. Streaks of it spread through the brownish clouds that exploded from the walls and floor. Eventually, they saw a bottom, as well as an exit from the grinder. Swimming through revealed a most terrible sight. A gargantuan tunnel, miles deep and miles wide, with a dense river of liquefied human remains at the bottom, moving in a swaying and undulating fashion. One team member pointed out a bulkhead nearby, opening it before anyone else. It creaked open, taking a tremendous amount of effort. When it finally moved, water began to rush into the room, sucking all the team members inside. Apparently, though, it was enough to disturb something in the tunnel. A large tremor was felt, with an audible thunk of metal. Quickly, someone closed the bulkhead and the room began to drain. They looked around and were astonished to see a perfectly functional facility. A door opened on the opposite end of the room, clearly an airlock, and gave way to a small, well-lit concrete facility. Just the first area was enormous, and numerous wooden doors with brass knobs were dotted along the walls. Large metal crossbeams held the cave up, and in the corner of it all sat a rather big hole. This hole had a peculiar property. A massive chain. One link was as thick as a semi-truck, and taller than any house. Nobody could even comprehend what was going on, nor were they given the time. Tremors began again, this time more violent. The chain shifted whenever the tremors started, rocking back and forth, slamming itself into the walls of the hole. Someone had finally opened a door into a storage room. Within, they found large barrels of sulfuric acid, multiple outdated chemistry sets, and one notebook. The handwriting was in scribbles, completely illegible. Another crew member opened a different door. It led into a strange bath. Strange as in it was comfortable, beautiful even. There was a rug, a sink, and a large tub off to the side of a window. Nothing could be seen through it, and the ones investigating did not want to stick around. The final door they opened led to an eerie white hallway, with yet another door at the end. Passing through, they found quite the sight. Opening the door revealed a room large enough to be a docking bay for 6 separate vessels. Yet, the room felt tiny in comparison to what filled it. It stretched out before them, being longer than it is wide. Mounted on each wall was an equally large metal circle. It looked to be another bulkhead. This one meant to transport high amounts of any material. 3 of these bulkheads were on the back and sides of the room. Rust and reddish hues dribbled from beneath them. Their size was dwarfed, as was nearly everything else when they spotted the door on the opposite side. Titanic, unbelievable in scale alone. Another bulkhead was mounted onto the furthest wall, and on its face was Bay 12XX. Terrified, The team began to approach this gargantuan door. As they did, their member on the surface radioed them.
Guys, listen! The feed came back on from the drone. You're not gonna believe this. It's huge.
When one member asked what it was, a loud, powerfully low and deep roar stormed through the bay. The feed cut in and out. All the while, their seventh member was screaming at them. The roar happened again, this time louder. The largest door was struck with an incomprehensible force, denting it inwards, spilling a striking red and vicious fluid onto the ground. All communication was shut off a few minutes later. Though the video feed was lost, the surviving member's testimony was enough to convince the corporation that their efforts may not be enough. The seventh member, a woman named Sheila Durteski, said this.
It was extraordinary. I've never seen anything that big. It had a...
Redacted.
Of sorts, and a curved head with massive...
Redacted.
It came from the ground from a huge hole near a massive door. I watched it break through the door. Its hand was even bigger. When it made an impact, the video feed went dark and the audio was corrupted, but don't you think for a second I didn't hear it. I heard the humming. I heard it scream!
Unfortunately, her testimony ends here, as shortly after, she receded into a fit of hysteria. She mutilated an officer in her rage, forcing another to shoot her.
What's up? 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 How's it going? Welcome back, ladies and fuck knuckles. I'm just kidding, man. You're cool too, bro. You know who I am, and we fucking, we just chill, dude. We're doing it. We're doing it all week. Sometimes twice a week. It really depends, We're trying to get it going, dude. Alright? We're doing it. We're doing it more. We're doing it better. Louder. We dropped the fucking beats now, dude. You see that? You see this right here? We dropped the fucking beats, bro. Come on. You like that shit. You stick around to the end because you want to hear us fucking make an ass out of ourselves here. That's really what the people come to see. They love this shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you get it. Come on, yeah. Alright, well anyhow, let's get to the meat here, It's time for the meat. Ooh, yeah. This story, this is another Malice. Fucking exclusive, dude. He writes this crazy shit just for us, because he knows I love it. That's how we do it, dude. So check him out, man. Consider throwing him a bone on Patreon. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell. You gotta get that ding, dude. Let us ding you, bro. I just want to ding you on your phone, And you're like, oh, hey, what's this fucking... That's the Disciple with some new shit. Let us ding you, dude. Like, subscribe, share, pass it on. Check out Malice, Patreon.